Warning. It appears the extraterrestrial beings did not like their conspiracies being discussed. There are some unfortunate audio issues we discovered in editing that we could not fix, so please bear with us and we apologize to our little green friends. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Music for a Book podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Britt.
And I'm Hannah.
And every 2 weeks, we read and review a book, assign a song to that book, draw the parallels between the two, and have some fun along the way. So welcome back to Season 3, Episode 2, and the second episode in our Spooky Season series.
Yes, and I can't wait for this book.
This book was so much fun. So much fun.
It really was. So this week, we've chosen a book that is spooky, but also a little cozy. It's by a debut author, and we read the romance Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe.
Oh, and what a debut this was. I'm telling you guys, could not even remotely tell that this was a debut.
No, it was so fun.
So fun. So if you're new here, how this episode is going to work and how all of our episodes typically work is that we are going to go over trigger warnings and a brief synopsis for the book, and then we're going to reveal our song choices, which is our favorite part of the podcast. Then we're going to move into what we like to call spoiler territory, meaning after that point, we are going to cover anything and everything that happens cover to cover inside of this book. So if you haven't read the book, you don't want spoilers, that's your time to pause, read the book, come back once you've read it. Otherwise, if you've read it, you just want to come along for the ride, that's your time to, stick with us.
Dear reader,
some trigger warnings from this book. We did grab these from Storygraph, and I will say this book is not super trigger happy in comparison to some of the other books that we have read. So what you can expect to see is a toxic relationship with emotional abuse, death of the parent, which happens off page, but it is talked about, grief, terminal illness, sexual content, and minor alcohol, marijuana use. As always, you know yourself best, you know your triggers. Keep be concerned about, make sure you look them up.
Yes. So for our synopsis, we grabbed this from Goodreads. Halle Berry's life has imploded after she's dumped by her hotshot ex, who also happens to be her coworker and the star of the online series she was producing. Without a new show to present for the company competition, she'll be out of a job. But inspiration can come from the strangest places. Like the most handsome guy she's ever seen passionately discussing Bigfoot on a late-night docuseries. Hayden Hargrove made a name for himself as a cryptid expert on his hit podcast and is intrigued by the plucky, blue-haired producer who offers him the opportunity to lead his own web show. When the production team sees that Hayden's solo on-screen presence is bad enough to make a ghost blanch, Hallie jumps on the camera too, hitting him and his cryptids with a healthy dose of skepticism and enough chemistry to electrify their show to the top of the competition. As Hayden and Hallie investigate the unknown, they unearth feelings for each other that shake their beliefs to the core. In their search for Mothman, aliens, and the truth, the most elusive discovery might be learning to love again.
It's just so fun.
Really. It was great.
Oh, so fun. Okay. So now let's talk about our song choices. So this one, I had a song that came up very quickly. Once I realized there's an underlying theme that we'll definitely discuss when it comes to women in the workplace. And so that was kind of where my head was going. So I did go back to our girl Taylor, and I actually chose Slut as my song.
Great choice. I chose a Taylor song as well. I chose mostly targeted at a very specific character, and I chose Mean, Taylor's version.
I was so hoping. I listened to it on the way here, and I was like, man, what a song for this douchebag. What a song, right?
I know.
Such a good one. I love that. I'm so excited to talk about that later. So now, you guys, if you don't want spoilers, you got to leave because we're about to spoil everything.
And I mean, it is a romance, right? So, of course, it has its happily ever after. But how we get there is in the unknown, in the Twilight Zone. So, go read the book, come back. It's short, it's sweet. You'll love it. And if you read it and you're here, let's go gossip about Hallie and Hayden.
Oh, I'm so excited. I literally can't stop smiling because I know I am such a fucking weirdo at heart. I'm so weird. This book just scratched an itch in my little nerdy millennial heart. I grew up loving ghost hunters, ghost adventures, watching all of these shows. Like, I don't know about you, Hannah, but like there was something about it that just like, I don't know, it just really hit me.
Well, so like taking it back, one of the first podcasts I ever really got into was one that you suggested, and and that's why we drink, which is such a fun podcast because they go over like a ghost story and like thriller conspiracy. I don't know how to describe it.
True crime. I think
True crime. Yeah.
They might have like branched off, but it was a ghost story and a true crime story is what they started with. Yeah.
So like a lot of these stories that they're like bringing up in the book, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember the podcast about that. I remember that, like learning about that. It's pretty cool.
It was so cool. So aside from like, and that's why we drink, are you super into conspiracies? Have you ever fallen down a rabbit hole? Like, what's your vibe with them?
Yeah, so I used to watch like Ghost Adventures, of course, back in the day, but I could never watch it at night. Like, I'm a scaredy cat, guys. I like the fact that I read like these horror books and these thriller books surprises everybody because I am like the biggest scaredy cat in the world. Huge. But I love conspiracies. I love ghost stories. I love diving down deep into those. I just have to be careful because even Are You Afraid of the Dark used to freak me out when I was little.
Yeah.
But like some of the ones that they talk about, like the Mystery House, you know, that I think
that's the Winchester House.
The Winchester House, yeah.
Yes.
It's so cool. And like those ones are just awesome to like dive into. But
yeah. And as they were like, oh, have you ever stayed on a haunted boat? Immediately I was like, oh, they're on the Queen Mary. Like I just knew. I don't even know. I'm going to be smiling this whole time because I thought this book was just so much fun. And like, I feel like it was a breath of fresh air for the romance genre. I, as someone who never read romance and has now read, God, I'm up to what, like 90 something books on the year, and like half of the romances, sometimes they do blur together a little bit because the plots can be pretty similar, a lot of similar tropes and stuff like that. But I feel like this one didn't market to tropes and really just built a foundation of a really cool and unique concept in a super fun love story.
Agreed.
So we get started with Love and Other Conspiracies, and we meet Hallie, who works at Scroll as a producer. And I thought of it as like a BuzzFeed type of situation is kind of where my mind went with it. And so she gets told like, listen, you're an amazing producer. However, all of the shows are staffed right now and you are at risk of being let go. Her boss, Chloe, had told her that. So there's two people that are like higher up at Scroll. So we have Chloe and then we have Kevin. But Kevin demands everyone call him Champ, which is the fucking. So Chloe's
like so real. Like,
so especially at a workplace like that, I feel like I know who Kevin is. But Chloe's like, listen, I don't want to lose you. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to pitch a show because every year they go through this competition where people will pitch their shows. If they get picked up, they'll create a pilot and then they can turn it into a trial run with a limited budget. They're going to release episodes and the one that's most popular will get picked up for a full season, full budget, full production. She's like, cool, amazing, great. We love to see it. However, it needs to be done by Friday. Like your pitch has to happen on Friday. And Hallie's like, shit. Let me brainstorm. Like, let's figure this out. Also at Scroll, though, we do learn about her absolute piece of shit dumpster fire of a human being, of an ex-boyfriend, Cade. And Cade Browning is his name. And for the love of God, he was just... And that's how I know he was well written, though, because, he got under my skin so badly. Every time his name came up on the page, I was like, can we turn this into a murder conspiracy? Can someone just get rid of him real quick?
Honestly, I don't know how Hallie did it for so long, like stayed there after.
No, I really don't understand. So Cade like sucked her up when she was 22 into this crazy, all-consuming, emotionally toxic relationship and really hinged, I think, in like how it's described throughout the book. So we get like a glimpse of it and it really like unfolds as the book goes on. He really hinges like all of her self-worth on his opinion of her and also ties it into her self-worth and her like productivity at work. And so there is like a power dynamic there. And so she was with him for 3 years and she was working on his show with him. And he was like, haha, I'm going to let you go from this show. Even though she was an amazing producer and all of that. And they were still together at the time. And so this is when she leaves him. And this was like, her last straw. And ever since then, man, he just can't get Hallie out of his head.
Right?
Because he just cannot leave this girl the fuck alone.
No. So our girl Hallie gets wine drunk, which big mood, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. I think she also got high in there. I think they smoked and got drunk, which
she just, went all out for this and is like, all right, I need my creative juices flowing. Like, I need to brainstorm an idea. And she wakes up like at 2 a.m. and is like, well, like we all do, right? When we used to have TV and not streaming, basically.
Yes.
Just those random late night shows. And she comes across a show called Cosmic Conspiracies. And our boy Hayden Hargrove is on this episode, and he's discussing Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And immediately she's like, he's hot. Hell yes. Who is this man? Like, this might be it. Like, this might be it. Then she does a deep dive on him. And it turns out that he actually hosts his own podcast called The Out There. And he just so happens to live in LA.
Yes.
So why not meet up and pitch him a show? Why not?
I love how she describes it as being like, she doesn't believe a singular word this man is saying, but she would listen to anything that this man says. And I just love that so much. And that's even how she like ends up pitching it down the line, which we'll talk about here in a minute. They're like, Hallie, I didn't take you for a conspiracy theorist. And she's like, no. You misunderstand. I'm not. I just think this is so fun and interesting. Yeah. When they have a drink, they immediately hit it off and have like really solid banter. And she also leans into the skepticism, which I think is a really cool like counterpart to it, because I do think you need a hefty dose of skepticism before it turns into like a tin hat situation where you're just off the rails and no one believes you. You need something like rooted in where we are now. And so he says he's in between podcast seasons. He has the time. He kind of tentatively agrees. And Hallie takes him on a ghost tour, which this was one of my favorite like little side pieces. And on the ghost tour, Hayden like corrects the tour guide several times. And I think it's so funny because this is a reoccurring theme with the same tour guide that happens on multiple different occasions.
Yeah. No, I thought it was so funny. So when we were in London, we went on like a ghost tour of London.
Love that.
And so I was just picturing like if Hayden was on tour with us, because like, the host is like going off about different things and just like picturing some other guy like, well, actually.
Can you imagine? I don't know what I would be like, should I be believing like this man back here?
Right. Or like the guy I paid to give me my tour.
Yeah, like what's going on? So Hayden does eventually agree to do the full show, and Hallie prepares the pitch. Now she's going in for her pitch. I'm sure we're going to have plenty of different names for Cade coming up. Dickwad was one that I came up with. Just, it felt right. And he meets her outside of the office and, of course, takes a natural jab at her confidence before she pitches it. And we're probably going to quote a couple of things down the line, but just know that he says some of the most like volatile, abhorrent shit that I've ever seen. However, it was written in a way that I believed it because I know people like that exist.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't so over the top that it felt unrealistic. It was like, oh no, you definitely, if you haven't experienced it, you've witnessed it happen to someone in your life being treated like this by another person.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the worst. But she goes in, she pitches it, like I said. She comes in with the skepticism and is like, listen, Hayden, he has an amazing podcast. He captured my attention at 2:00 in the morning over a bowl of ramen. Like, give him a try. And so immediately Champ and Chloe are on board and they green light them for
Yep. Hallie and Hayden are like, all right, we got to work together, right? So Hallie goes over to Hayden's and he presents her with a slideshow of cryptid and conspiracy basics, which is hilarious. I need you to make one for me, Britt, because I need to go over that.
Yes.
And like throughout the whole time, like her inner monologue is just great. Like, because she's, of course, trying to pay attention to the basics, but like Hayden's hot. So like she is definitely paying attention to him and like looking at his apartment, like this is really nice. Like he has a podcast and this is where he lives.
Can someone tell us how to get that?
Yeah.
How to convert this into that?
Exactly.
But he's like covered in tattoos and stuff. And he has like funny tattoos. Like he has UFOs on him. He has, what was it? Not a deer. I think that was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I don't know. Every description, I was like, yes, I'm sold. Sign me up.
Yep. So even though she's, basically already in love with Hayden, let's be real.
Obvious.
On the first day of filming, Hayden he is kind of terrible. You can tell that he's just not meant for being in front of the camera. He's focusing too much on his script. Like, it's just not translating well from podcast to screen. Hallie's like, crap. Like,
Yeah.
what did I just do? You know?
He sucks. Like,
yeah.
It's not good.
No. And of course, her boss walks in and she's like, yep, this isn't good. Like, we're going to be done. We're going to be done for. So she like steps in and starts like talking with Hayden and bringing in like her skepticism. And you could just tell the chemistry right there was with them right there, loving their energy. And that's how she became the co-host instead of just a producer.
And what I love too was that from the get-go, even though it was the other producers telling her like, hey, maybe you should hop on with him, Hayden was like, yes, immediately yes, like you're going to make me better. And that's what I loved about Hayden through this whole thing, is that he was a steady force, very reassuring. And like, I never once questioned his intentions and motives. Like he was very steady. And I really liked that because we had such a stark contrast with Kate on the other side that she really needed a stable figure to be in that romantic piece, I think. Otherwise, I don't think I would have believed that she could have come to the conclusions that she did.
Yeah.
At the end there.
So the start of chapter 8, I really liked how the book was set up too, because you can tell that it's like louder, right? So they're doing a web series. And so they insert just different like online like comments, and in my head they're like tweets, right?
Yeah.
And just about the podcast. And it's like XOXO Gossip Cat. And their comment is like, this is about the show. So it like aired and kind of getting the feel of it. Dead. Yeah. These two are something else. Why watch All Scrolls cooking videos when there is this? It's just so cute. And somebody else, false flags with a Z. Okay, but did anyone else know that this is what he looked like? Because remember, it was a podcast, now we have the video. Yep. And somebody commented after that, like, yeah, dude, on the website. And then somebody replied to that and said, okay, most importantly, do you think they're dating? And so it's getting some good reviews, this commentary on the show.
It's so good. The really cool thing about their show versus what Hayden was doing is that Hayden is recording these episodes after all of his research and doing all of these things, but now they get to go to on-site locations and film. However, their entire budget for this kind of green-lighted pilot series is taken up by travel, so it's just the two of them recording things, interacting, getting clips. And so they go to the Roosevelt Hotel as their first one. And if you guys aren't familiar, Roosevelt Hotel is one of the supposedly most haunted hotels in the entire country. And so when they're there, Hallie, does what a skeptic would do. And she's like, hey, ghosties, come out and play. I want to fight you, basically. And Hayden's like, whoa, we got to respect the spirits here. And now they are sharing a hotel room. And this one does have two beds. And like I said, they have a ton of banter back and forth. At the Roosevelt Hotel, they actually do run into the same tour guide as before. And it's that recurring theme. And he's just like, dude, please, please let me do my job. You can tell immediately, like Hannah said, the chemistry is just like right there. They have this tense situation. So in the hotel room, nothing happens. However, there is a moment where she has to get dressed and there's like a shower situation where one's leaving the bathroom, one's coming in. She smacks into him. He's shirtless. She's panicking. And like, I don't know. She did a really good job about building up like the tension between the two of them. And you can kind of like feel things happening. And to comment again too on like the setup of the novel, there are clips, and by like clips of the episodes. And so we see like a little bit of a transcript of the episodes themselves. And so if you listen, I thought the audiobook was really well done. The audiobook was super cool. There were little like alien noises, what would lead up to the open of the show before each clip. So there was a really good differentiation between the two. And it just goes back and forth between them. And it goes over, I think they show clips from, 8 or 9 different episodes. So you get to see clips of all of the conspiracies that they're talking about. And they range from Bigfoot to JFK to Area 51. They cover a wide berth of all of these fun little conspiracies.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because I did half audiobook, half book.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fun to start with audiobook because then I could like picture the little alien noise before. And so it like played as I was reading it too.
Randomly insert alien noises into this episode and see what happens.
Yeah. We come in peace. That's the code word for this episode. Please comment below.
Please
come in
comment.
peace.
We come in peace.
They go back to Hayden's, and Hallie actually discovers that Hayden's dad just happens to be a famous horror novelist, Mr. Everett Hargrove. And that's where he gets his quirks from, and kind of really where I feel like his love of the out there has come from.
Totally.
And poor Hayden, like his backstory.
No.
He was bullied growing up, and he actually dropped out of college to take care of his dad when he was sick. And his dad ended up passing away, which is how he acquired his apartment that he has now. And then his mom remarried, which we meet her later on, and she's an interesting character. But
yeah,
she remarried, doesn't really agree with his lifestyle. Like, she is very, like, proper and wants, like, you know, that. And Hayden's just kind of eccentric, you know, out there. We see later on kind of the dynamic there. But
yeah, and then they go on to their next paranormal hunt, which I did mention earlier. So they're on the Queen Mary. And I've seen so many shows about the Queen Mary. So like I said, I knew I can literally visualize like the type of room that they were in. Now, oh no, what happened on the Queen Mary? Oh no, there's only one bed.
only one bed.
Only one bed. Oh no, whatever shall they do? I love this trope so much. It's just, it always hits. Now, Hallie does bring a Ouija board with her, which, you know, I have played with a Ouija board when I was younger, and I have had some weird fucking shit happen. Also, if you know me in real life, you know that I always have unexplained paranormal stuff happen to me and around me. I have ever since I was a child. I have well into my adult years. I'm sure playing with a Ouija board did not help when I was younger. I do have some crazy stories about that. Maybe we'll go into detail. But, you know, Hallie, we see her monologue and she's like messing with it by like nudging the planchette and stuff like that. I feel like, again, with romance books, we will never do it justice talking about it because we are not the characters. Hannah and I do not have the chemistry for banter. It just won't work.
Nope.
So when we are saying like giggling over stuff that's happening, you just have to read it. And this one, just go read it.
Yeah.
Guys, read the book.
So, of course, with the one bed, right, Hallie does wake up curled around Hayden, but like Hayden doesn't acknowledge that this happened. So, you know, we just kind of move on from that. And so Mr. Jerkface shows up to her apartment when they get back home and asking for a trackpad back, and just really, you know, being his normal general piece of shit, shooting her confidence down, just breaking her down. And Kay leaves, and she like just describes it like she can't lock the door fast enough. Like she can't wait till he leaves and gets out of there. And her phone buzzes, and she sees that it's a message from Hayden. It's a photo of his cat, presenting him with a small little alien squeaker toy. And Hayden says that the caption basically, right, the text with the picture, he will bring me an entire Area 51 after we're gone for almost a week. Just bringing all the toys.
I love pet side characters. Like that's something that we like have had in a lot of our books. And we didn't mention it earlier, but Hallie lives with her friend Nora, who also works at Scroll. And Nora, another fun, there were so many fun little tidbits that I just kept like remembering as I was going back over the book. Nora has a bearded dragon that Hallie hates and is terrified of, but her name is Lizzie, for lizard, but Lizzie Borden. And if you know the Lizzie Borden case, we also read a book based off of the Lizzie Borden case last year. It was one of our favorites, The Only One Left by Riley Sager, very much inspired by that. But yeah, between like the little cat glimpses, the little bearded dragon moments with Lizzie, I just love the little fun pet, you know, asides that we have.
Yes. And so she replies back saying that like, oh, he missed you, like saying that the cat missed Hayden. And then we get her inner monologue where she's like, maybe I missed him too. Like, yeah. So we can tell that she's kind of turning around. So they're recording, and he who must not be named interrupts him in the recording booth and then pisses Hayden off. So not only is Hallie over him, like now Hayden like it sees it and experiences it. And, you know, not Hayden, the other guy hurts Hallie again just by being a piece of shit again. And Britt described him as just like a flaming dumpster fire of a human, which is very accurate. So true. Hayden does stand up for Hallie, which I really liked. It wasn't like, you know, man to man, right? Hayden's like, no, I'm standing up for Hallie. And Hallie does tell Hayden who Cade was to her, that they dated, etc.
This wasn't like the worst of it, but even still, he says shit like, man to man, Hallie was supposed to be my producer before I let her go. Chloe only let her make this show so she didn't get fired. No one wanted to work with her otherwise. Not your fault. You didn't know any better. And like, that's how he talks, but it just gets worse as time progresses. And it's something that Hayden points out to Hallie, and I don't think she ever realized it before Hayden. Like, it's so clear that Cade is wildly intimidated by her talent and does not want her around because of that. Yeah. Not because of like whatever their relationship was, because it's so clear that she doesn't actually mean anything to him. It was the fact that he was so afraid of her like outshining him or working harder than him. Hallie does not see it because of, when you're stuck in like an abuse cycle like that, especially emotional abuse, where like you don't necessarily see it until it's too late. It's so easy for her to get stuck in this cycle of maybe I am hard to work with, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this. And Hayden always just like grabs her and grounds her, even as just at the friendship and professional level, which I very much appreciated.
Yeah. No, I love that. So after all of that, they do go to a little playground and they connect and they just talk about things. I feel like they have really good banter, but they also have like healthy conversations too. They're just very open with each other to an extent and just are not afraid to talk about certain things. They end up holding hands, which is just super cute. They're on a playground like little kids, like, so high school. That would have been a fun one too.
Yeah.
And almost kiss, but Hallie's like, no, I can't yet. We work together. Like, I think she's probably associating it too with Cade. Like, they work together. I don't want to get myself into a sticky situation again. And she just doesn't want to jeopardize it because she also needs this job, right? Like, she can't mess anything up. This show is going to make or break whether she has a job.
Yeah.
And Hayden, being the king he is, understands.
Yeah. Healthy communication and Hayden go hand in hand. In between all of the fun and cute things, there were so many raw and emotional conversations that they had that made it so relatable. And in the next chapter, another one of my favorite tropes is when Girly Pops gets sick and the guy takes care of her. Oh, I love it so much. And so Hallie gets the sick, or as she calls it, she thinks she's caught the plague, which, we've all been there. And there's just a whole sequence where like he's giving her NyQuil and something happens. She spills it. It's in her hair. She's crying, but he's sticky and ill and like so over everything. He ends up washing her hair for her. It's like the absolute sweetest fucking thing. But they fall asleep cuddled up in his bed. And like, he just doesn't care that she's sick. He just wants to take care of her. And it's so cute. Once she's feeling better, they go on their next trip. They're going looking for night crawlers, some weird shit out in the forest. And he asks if they could take a detour to visit his mom and his stepdad. And, he agrees. We're good. And now they're sitting. And they have their first kiss. And their first kiss was like steamy.
All that built up tension, yeah.
Yeah, that shit got steamy fast. And I think that it was cool too because this obviously happened like over time, and we see it in like the episodes that come out and that they're taking. So it's kind of like an implied timeline, even though it's not walked through step by step. Now, Hallie is like, I would like everything served, but not right now. Not right now. I think she even said like, not necessarily take it slow, but take it one step at a time, if I remember correctly. So they go to a hotel, they get out of the forest, because if there's anything that Hallie hates, it is bugs. It is bugs and wet socks. Hallie does not like those things. Personally, same. I also don't like bugs and wet socks.
Yeah, that's very relatable for sure.
Yeah.
And so they go cuddle back up in the hotel together. Then fast forward to Hayden's mom's house. And it's just a lot. We find out that Hayden was actually previously engaged.
Yes.
And one of the reasons was because of like his dad being sick, and they kind of like rushed things. And so when his dad felt ill, it was just like a series of fortunate events, and it just didn't work out, did not pan out. You can just tell like his mom is not happy with his profession, and there's just a lot of back and forth, and Hayden ends up storming out. And this is Hallie's turn to stand up for him now. I thought that was like a cute little parallel.
I agree.
And she explains kind of like what he's doing in a way that his mom and new stepfather or whatever, new husband, would understand and kind of, I feel like, bridge that gap that I feel like sometimes parents and kids, you just don't see eye to eye or don't understand if, you want one track for your kid, but they do something else. And so I think how she described it was really a good way to bridge that for them. And Hallie does go follow Hayden outside. And Hayden talks about how this is like the last piece of his dad that he has, and just how he was hardwired to pursue this career. Like, this connects him to his dad, the out there, the horror author, all of that together. And it allowed him to process and, his father's death, and to be alone and just to take his time. And now with Hallie, he doesn't feel alone. And it's like with that same connection too. So I thought that was funny that, now they're back at like his mom's house and things come out too. And he said he missed out on like his rebellious teen years. And Hallie brought a joint and they share it. And immediately when his mom comes in, she just knows. It's like, oh, you want snacks? And he's like, what do you mean? Why would we want snacks? Why would we want munchies?
What are you talking about?
She's like, come on, let's go. And then they watch. Yeah. And they sit down and watch his show, which I love that they took that time out to do.
I do too. And like Jeff had Cheetos, which earlier in the conversation, he had told Hallie, like, this house will never have Cheetos in it. Like, it's just not that type of family. So it was just also cool to see Hayden realize that maybe his mom is a little more chill and just needed to communicate a little bit differently with her and stuff like that. But then we move on to the 2 chapters where they bang it out. They get hot and heavy. Twice on page in great deed. Yes. And the spice was great. The first time was in the guest house and they didn't like go all the way, but she does have a moment with Hayden where she's like, by the way, it's fine. Everything's fine. I've just like never really gotten off with the guy before because I've only been with McDickface, and like he didn't know what he was doing. And Hayden just like, first of all is like, fuck him again. Second of all, not going to happen anymore. Third of all, stores that little nugget of information away for later. He uses that for later. And he's like, yeah, no. Like, we will be prioritizing you from now on. And then they go Bigfoot hunting. And then they like bang it out again in the cabin, but like for real, all the way this time. And that shit is, as I put in our outline, it is hot and steamy.
Yes.
So those were 2 good chapters. That's all I'm saying. Listen, you got to have a little spice, just a little something. It wasn't gratuitous. It made sense.
Yep.
I was here for it.
So sign me up. I want to go to Conspiracy.
Big
the
fact.
Conspiracy convention. And so they get asked to be panelists like last minute. And it's just like cool for them to go. There's fans of the show there, and they're on a panel where talk about like just, the unexplained and different things that they've encountered. And people bring up their chemistry and try to like throw it to Hallie, right, that she is a skeptic, and they try to discredit her. But it works because it's them. Like,
that's their dynamic. Like,
yeah.
When they're like, oh, well, aren't you a skeptic? Like, how does this work, sort of thing? Bringing that negative energy. She's like, literally, that's the entire thing. Like
that's it.
That's it.
Right.
That's the thing.
But so even all the speculation online, they try to keep their relationship under wraps. But of course, people love to ship people, and they're shipping them together.
Yeah.
And they're, out after the convention, and they sneak a kiss. I'm like, come on, you're in public, right?
I know. They're just like, they're in the early stages.
I know, it's cute.
Boyfriend and girlfriend.
Right. And so, of course, somebody snaps a picture because all the fans are floating around this town, and it ends up online. And of course, all the Farrell fans and shippers come out of the woodworks, and Hallie's actually like really concerned about it.
Yes.
Because her phone is blowing up, partially because, being a woman in the workforce, it always comes down to, to quote Taylor Swift, why can't I think of the man lyrics?
If I was a man, then I'd be a man. Which one were you thinking of specific?
I'd get there faster if I was a man.
Okay, cool. Yeah. You can quote that again. You can
Either one. It's okay. I know what song I'm thinking of. It's fine. Anyway, but, she worries about that dynamic. And I think a lot of it, too, comes from how Mr. Poophead treated her in the workplace, too, and how, they had the relationship. And she's like, I don't want this relationship to affect what we're doing, and really kind of create any craziness there, too. But Hayden is like, nah, girl, we good. And he was ready to reveal, I was thinking about at the season finale, let's get this on the road. Let's just tell people.
Yeah.
So it's out there.
It's out there. It's out there. Everything is out there now. Then they are at a work function for Scroll, and the higher-ups are just when I say higher-ups, I literally mean Champ and Chloe. That's who I mean. But they're so excited by the promise that, what Hallie and Hayden are bringing to the screen, what they're bringing to the show, and of fucking course, Cade is there, obviously, because they work together, but he's there to ruin the day. When we say this is going to ruin the tour, Cade ruins the tour every time without fail.
Yep.
And so he's there to ruin everything. He jumps into a conversation with Kevin after, he's talking to Hallie, and he also continues to find ways to insult and berate Hallie. And there was one specific piece of this where he puts a hand on Hallie, and I need to find the quote because the way that I wanted to murder a fictional man over the things that he's saying. He says things like, oh, do you have anything to stand on besides spreading your legs for every guy? And this is where Hayden steps in. But he says one thing specifically, and he touches Hallie's side and is basically I'd watch out if I were you. Your dress is already looking tight. Beat him over the fucking head. Hayden really, he stands up for her in I wasn't afraid that he was ever going to punch him in the face. Low-key kind of wished that he would have, but he does it in just such a subtle way that Hayden is smarter, way, just a better person all around. But he's doing all of this, and he showed up to this event with a new girlfriend. So he is doing this to Hallie while his girlfriend is there. So he may or may not have taken the time to go seek out his girlfriend and let her know that her boyfriend Cade has trouble getting off his girl in the bedroom and doesn't really prioritize them. So she might want to dip out while she has a chance.
Yeah. We love Hayden.
We love him.
Yes. And Hallie does stand up for herself too, and it can be painful for her, which just pisses Cade off more, which we love. Piss him off. Piss him all the way off.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I did like how this book was set up, and we get the mini transcripts from their episodes. I thought that was cool. And, we've read books before, Listen for the Lie with the podcasts, and reading the podcast was weird, but I liked reading the transcripts, even though it's similar, but I think because I picture the show more. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, just their banter, we always talk about, and the conspiracy puns, which are a lot of fun. And I bet Mallory had a lot of fun writing this book too.
Yes.
And just weaving those in for sure.
Yeah. And I feel after reading this, Mallory is someone that I want to be friends with. She's just everything woven in. I'm I feel we would be besties. We would get along so well. And like I said earlier too, this is just such a refreshing entry into the world of romance. And I'm sure there's stuff that has been like this before, but this feels so relevant, so on brand. It feels very now. And she has to be so proud of this, because this is such a cool novel to enter this with.
Yeah. So we're out in West Virginia searching for a good old Mothman. And this is when their world kind of collapses. Our boy, Cade, releases a podcast episode where literally he just shits on Hallie. Says lies about their relationship, embellishing things about Hallie and Hayden's relationship. And it's just ridiculous, this podcast. I'm how can you even... It was
pure slander. It was slander. And Hallie and Hayden are consistently pulling more viewers than Cade. And so this is really what gets under his skin. When she's standing up for herself, she's saying these things I'm gonna fucking beat you. Like, we're going to win. We're going to have a show. You're not. And so he really takes it upon himself to try and do everything in his power to destroy their show by slandering them online. And like, you know, they call their show like bizarre and embarrassing, whatever she can do for the attention, I guess. This is just what she does. She's so insecure that she needs someone to be tooting her horn all the time. She's needy and clingy, and if she didn't sleep with all her coworkers, she'd be out of a job.
It's just ridiculous. And they actually play a clip from the Out There on this podcast. But I like how the podcast is described. So it's called What the Fox. That's what the podcast that Kate goes on. And it's hosted by Fox Evans, who is Kate's knockoff Joe Rogan former roommate from college.
Which makes
And that's just what I pictured, yes.
Same.
They like play a clip from the podcast, and it's just like a stupid like side clip. It's like literally if you take a clip of ours where we're just talking about something random, but like you take it out of context and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So they just like continue to shit on him, and I just was like cringing listening to it because I'm like, to me it doesn't make Hallie and Hayden look bad, like it makes Kate look bad.
Correct.
We also know Rory and Hayden, so.
Yeah. And it's the internet. And so immediately Hallie is like, I'm going to be sick. I'm shaking. This is terrible. And they start to look at comments. And now I will say that what I love too is that they found their little like niche corner of the internet, and all of the people commenting on their stuff are also little weirdos at heart. And they just love their like emotions, the banter, the like relationship that they have. They love all of that. But now the comments are being flooded with trolls, obviously, that are being directed to them by the other podcast. And they're ones like, do you really think she's dating him for the attention to get on the show? I really hope not. Hayden deserves better than getting played by some bitch. And like, those are all of the comments. And they're like, I think I'm out. I think I'm done watching. I think she handles what we are now, you know, dealing with in our time is like cancel culture, quote unquote, on the internet. Where like one thing comes out and it's this mob mentality to like destroy whatever it is without further like understanding or context. So this is like Hallie is spiraling. And this part of the book was very anxiety inducing for me because this entire book is in Hallie's perspective. So see all of her worst possible fears being manifested and coming to life right in front of us. And it's just, God, this part of the book was really hard to get through. And I think when I was first going through, I texted Hannah and I was like, I'm loving this. I'm having so much fun, but let's see what happens in the conflict, because the last conflict can kind of make or break a book.
Yep.
And I texted her and I think I told you, like, I hate this conflict so much, but not in it's a bad sort of thing, but in I hate that this is happening to her and now I have to experience it. But like it was done so well and it was handled really well.
Yeah.
But it gave me so much anxiety.
Yeah. And so of course, like Hallie chooses to believe the words, pulls away from Hayden, and just feel like all of those emotions come back to her, right? She feels hard to love and unlovable and hard to be around, hard to work with, and just not good enough. And, you know, believing all these comments are just getting into her head, and like definitely she spiraled down and just hasn't brought herself back up.
Yeah.
And, you know, poor Hayden. Hayden's like trying to reassure her, and it just doesn't work. And so it kind of separate for a little bit after the incident, and Hallie decides that she doesn't want to be on the camera for their final episode, which happens to be at Area 51. And of course, that our girl Nora, which we didn't talk much about her, but she is just a great side friend, roommate, like just, yes, that like partner to Hallie on the side for sure. And she just like plots Cade's like revenge on Cade. And it's just like exactly what you want your best friend to do. Like,
yeah, like the sugar-free gummy bears, you know, the ones that went viral for their reviews on Amazon, the Haribo sugar-free ones. And she's like, that, laxatives.
Yes. So I will say, just be careful with sugar-free stuff, because I accidentally did the gummy bear challenge without realizing that I was doing it.
Hannah, no.
Yeah, and well, it wasn't with gummy bears. It was like these like caramels, and we used to work night shift.
Yeah.
And so me and my friend at work got these candies to try to keep us awake. And like 2 hours before work the next day, we both texted each other like, are we sick? Like, what's going on? And we went to work and we like mentioned it. And
Yeah.
like all of our employees started laughing at us. They're like, you haven't heard about the gummy bear challenge? Like, it's a sugar-free thing. So I wish that on Cade. I wish that pain on Cade. I wish it worked.
Yes.
So
I agree. Now, Hayden does, so I wouldn't call this like a third act breakup. It was definitely more of like a Hallie pulling away, like needing time to kind of figure things out. But Hayden takes to Instagram publicly and denounces Cade for what he does, emphasizing what he believes to be true about Hallie improving the show, how much he cares about her. It was a really, really cute thing. And a side note that he adds in is that Hayden has Zach Bagans blocked on Instagram, which is so fucking funny. For anyone that has watched Ghost Adventures, knows anything about Zach Bagans, which is so cool that you brought up, and that's why we drink earlier, Hannah, because I put a note in here about, and that's why we drink, because they call him Zach Bagel Bites. And I'm pretty sure Christine got blocked by Zach at some point on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, formerly Twitter, whatever we want to call it.
yeah.
I feel like if you were into the paranormal or anything like this at all, this book is going to be so up your alley. And I think even if you're not, you're going to appreciate it and enjoy it. But I feel like it just has a special place in my heart now.
So circling to Zach real quick. In the acknowledgements, I thought it was funny. Like, she does call it out and she's like, dearest Zach Baggins, I am so sorry for all the slander in this book, but I promise I do not hate you like Hayden does. Which I thought was kind of funny.
It was really funny. And it's like, if he's the host of Ghost Adventures, for those of you who don't know, you definitely have seen him around before, because he's like, my name is Zach Bagans, and I never believed in ghosts until I came face to face with one. And he wears the jeans that have like, they're
He's
like
just great
in
like
the back and
ridiculous way.
such a quirky, like it's so funny. But yeah, I just love it so much.
And so on the flip side, Hallie does see the good comment. So she sees like through the fog and realizes that there's support for them, that there's so much love for their podcast out, or for their web series out there. And she kind of circles out of her little wave of disgust that she had about that before. You know what? I was so proud of her, and I hope she's proud of herself too, because she actually emails Chloe and Champ, Cade's podcast that he did, and about his behavior, and just let's talk, which like, yeah, like workplace harassment, like, come on, girl. So I was really proud of her for finally doing that. And then she packs her bags to go to Area 51.
Of course she does. Like, yeah, that moment I was like, please let her do something about him, because his behavior, like she mentions early on, like Kevin loves Cade because Cade is such a kiss ass and he sucks up to him. Chloe tolerates him because she's a woman and can clearly see through like his bullshit. They get to the office. Hayden is not there. Hayden and Jamie does some of the filming for some of the episodes where they have the budget in terms of their travel, and it's not just Hallie and Hayden, and Jamie and Nora are together. So like it's their cute little foursome there. She isn't sure if Champ and Chloe have read the email yet, but Cade shows up, spits his fucking vitriol, disgusting, blah, 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 gets called in for a meeting, and he gets fired in the most ethic of fashions, and has I believe this is a quote that I pulled from The Good Place, if I'm not mistaken, a Category 5 Doomsday Crisis level meltdown in the office. And it happens in front of Champ's niece, who is the new intern. And Hallie just stands her ground as he goes through the most icky thing. It's so, like, you want to talk about icks with guys? This is an ick. He's begging, ew, pleading, gross, demanding, get the fuck out of here. He's like, you ruined me. You did this. And she's like, I literally just showed them the words that you said.
Yep.
Like, you put yourself online. You said this. What do you want from me?
Yeah. And I feel like, too, I wrote a note on the side when I was reading it that, like, I was worried. We let a book be a book, right? I just write it out. I know there's going to be a happy ending, but when I'm immersed in it, I don't think about it, right?
Yep.
I was worried that Champ was going to be part of the good old boys club.
I was, too.
And because I was like, she could write it that way.
Yeah.
She could write it that way, and we don't defeat Cade, like that her show doesn't get it, but Hayden and her still end up together.
Yeah.
So I was so glad that Champ was not part of the good old boys club and kicked Cade's ass to the curb. And so, side note real quick, we didn't talk about it, but there's one place that Hayden does not ever want to explore, and that's the Bermuda Triangle, which I thought was hilarious. But Nora and Hallie Tokyo drifted all their way to Area 51, and they find Hayden and Jamie, and Hallie just tells them everything that happened with Cade, and they say, I love you, and they commit to being together and traveling and doing all the fun and funky and weird shit they love to do.
Oh, it's so good.
And so the Out There does get picked up, right? Because Cade's out of the running, and people love the Out There, and it gets picked up with a full budget, and the epilogue takes us 6 months into the future.
Yeah, and in the future, Hallie and Hayden have moved in together, and Nora and Jamie have moved in together. And now the crew of them are in Scotland to find, of course, Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. And it's so funny because Hallie has a moment where she is like, dude, did I just fucking see Ness? What? Did I just see the Loch Ness Monster? And the roles kind of reverse for a minute, and Hayden takes on like a skeptical thing, and he's like, sure you did. Like, you're going to make us millions of dollars if we actually got that on camera.
Right.
And he's like, who's the conspiracy theorist now, basically?
So in previous episodes of the podcast, I talk about how I don't like epilogues.
Mm-hmm.
And then I could just like close the book before the epilogue and be fine with it. So I was worried about what this epilogue was going to be like. And I loved it. I thought it was so fun. I thought it was like how it was supposed to be. It still ties it together, but not in they have a ring, they got married, and now they have 3 children. Kids. Yeah. Nope. It just, take them to Loch Ness Monster internationally. It was really cute.
Yeah. And my favorite thing too is that the book ends with a case closed. And so that was Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. And what a delight this fucking book was. That was so much fun. But I think you guys can tell we both very much enjoyed this. I really don't have much else to say about that here. So do you have any other final thoughts before we move into our song choices? Are we feeling good?
I'm feeling good. I think that my other thoughts will come out in the song lyrics.
So moving into our song choices, I did choose Slut by Taylor Swift, Taylor's version from the vault, of course, from the 1989 vault tracks, the iconic vault tracks. And so I picked this song. Some of the lyrics don't necessarily fit, but the message is there. And this is what we talked about, how when Hallie was so worried that people were going to be talking about her because she's a woman, believing Cade and all of this and watching her world come crashing down, and she's dating another guy that she's working with and all of this stuff. So the song starts out just Flamingo Pink, Sunrise Boulevard, Clink Clink, being this young as art. And if you guys have not heard the song, as I watch Hannah do her little head movement, it is such a vibe. This song is a vibe. It was just the instrumentals on it. Like, it's so good.
Well, remember I joked because the song came out I feel like right when I was newly pregnant.
Yes.
And I was like, my daughter's gonna come out and her first word is gonna be slut because I listened to this song so much.
Yes.
So it's still gonna happen.
It could still be. She's in the running. Slut could be there.
Yep.
Well, hopefully, it depends on when Rep TV actually comes out, because I feel like one of her first words is going to be reputation coded. It just feels very on brand for you.
Yep. She's gonna have that little toy phone and be like, the old Sophie can't come to the phone anymore.
Exactly. This is what being a mom is all about.
Yep.
But it says, being this young is art. Hallie felt like she lost a lot of time with Cade because she had those 3 years, but she was still young, and she is still young now. But it says, what if all I need is you? And the way that the song is structured, the chorus blends into the verses, and the verses kind of blend right into the bridge. But it says, got love struck, went straight to my head. Got love sick all over my bed. Love to think you'll never forget. Handprints in wet cement. Adorned with smoke on my clothes. Love Lorne and nobody knows. Love thorns all over this rose. I'll pay the price. You won't. And I think it's just that, the love sick, love struck, puppy dog love that she was immediately feeling with him. But these deeper emotions, love thorns all over this rose. She's so scarred and damaged from everything that Cade brought to the table, specifically the I'll pay the price, you won't. And that's why they wanted to keep it under wraps. She was so worried about the reputation that would follow with people finding out that she was with Hayden, especially knowing that she had been with Cade and he kind of used that against her. The reason that I picked this song too is that it flips and she's wondering all of these things. And it's like, I will pay the price and you won't. However, if I'm all dressed up, they might as well be looking at us. And if they call me a slut, you know, it might be worth it for once. And if I'm going to be drunk, I might as well be drunk in love. And it's just her realizing like, I can't control what these people are saying. I'm going to take, you know, control of my own narrative. And I love Hayden. I want to be with Hayden. He brings out the best in me. And so if they're going to call me a slut, if they're going to try to ruin my career, whatever they're going to do, basically fuck it and fuck them because this is worth it to me. And Hayden is worth the repercussions to me. Another line specifically, send the code. He's waiting there. The sticks and stones they throw froze midair. And it's like, Hayden really put up that blocker and he's like, fuck y'all. Like, you guys can throw all of this shit, but I'm telling you right now, this is not who Hallie is. This is not who I am. We are hardworking. We're proud of our show. But in the little bridge part, it says, you're not saying you're in love with me, but you're going to, is this moment. But half awake, taking your chances. It's a big mistake. I said it might blow up in your pretty face. I'm not saying do it anyway, but you're going to. And it's Hallie trying to warn Hayden, like, listen, this shit, this might blow up all around us. And he's basically like, fuck it up. Who cares? But it's the message of it all. Like, this is worth it to me. Yeah. Call me a slut. Try to ruin this shit for me. Tell me I'm not good enough. Throw all of your vitriol, your hate, all of this stuff. But it's going to be worth it because if I'm going to be drunk, if this is going to happen anyway, I might as well be drunk in love. I might as well do this with the person that I love. That's why I picked Slut. I feel like it just had like such a good parallel message. And sometimes we go for the vibes, sometimes we go for the message, sometimes we go for the lyrics. And today it was the overall message for me and how that ties back to Hallie and Hayden.
I love it. So I picked Mean, Taylor's version. The funny thing is, I was going to do a few different songs. So all of them were Speak Now songs, actually. I was thinking mine.
Were you going to do was Sparks Fly on your list?
Sparks Fly.
Sparks Fly was one of mine.
Dear John. The Story of Us. Enchanted. Even Better Than Revenge. Haunted.
Did you look at I Can See You? Because I also looked at that one.
Yep. So, well, mostly we're all Speak Now songs I was playing.
I love that, though, because Sparks Fly was my second choice that I had. But there was something about Slut that was just calling to me. But I love that this very Speak Now coded.
Yeah. I was going to say, she needs to change it to purple and not pink. And then they'll be very Speak Now. But anyway, Mean, it just stuck out to me because, like, Cade is horrible. But I feel like, too, it's very much not only, like, Cade, but also all the haters on the internet and, like, Hallie's, you know, self-worth is, like, she's coming out of that shell. And so, like, to everybody else, like, you know, you're going to be as mean. So, you know, specifically, like, you with your words like knives and swords and weapons that you use against me. Like, that Cade's words right there. And you picking on the weaker man. Cade, there's no reason. Like, he could be such a great person if he didn't look down on everybody else. So,
yeah.
And like the pre-chorus is, well, you can take me down with one single blow, but you don't know what you don't know. To me, that, like, the single blow is that, like, going on the podcast and putting out those feelings. Like, you just don't do that. And it just blew up in his face. And the chorus of the song, kind of the same thing, right? Is just being like, you know what? All you're ever going to be is mean. Like, someday I'll be living in a big old city and I'll be big enough so you can't hit me. And all you ever are going to be is mean. Yeah. And so that's just, I feel like Hallie's mentality at the end, which I was so proud of her. And just being like, you know what? Someday I'm going to be working on my show, having the time of my life, and you're still going to be mean. Like, why? I'm not going to give you the time of day because of that. Like in the other verse, it just talks about in your wildfire lies and your humiliation, you point out my flaws again, as if I don't already see them. You know, the song is just about how your haters are just going to hate. Like, they're just going to be there. So, yeah, why you got to be so mean? Like, but all you ever are is going to be is mean. So, and I like the bridge, how it just ends with, like, and I can see you years from now in a bar talking over a football game with that same big, loud opinion, but nobody's listening, washed up and ranting about the same old bitter things, drunk and grumbling on about how I can't sing. And so I just see that Cade, like, he's going to ruminate. He's never going to, like, grow up.
Yes.
and never grow up. Or speak now song. But like that's Cade. Like he's gonna just still keep talking about it and talking about how, you know, I don't think he would ever admit that it was his fault that he got fired. Like he's always gonna blame Hallie, and that's gonna be his like big and loud opinion.
Absolutely.
That is mean.
I love it. I love that you had so many Speak Now songs, because I also had a couple of Speak Now songs, but like I said, I literally listened to Mean like on my drive home tonight, and I was like, this is such a fuck you to Cade.
Yeah.
I love that you picked it.
I kept circling back. I was like, yep, this is it. This is the song.
I love it. Well, now we're going to go over our final book ratings. And again, if y'all are new or you don't remember, we rate on our special rating scale because we just feel like sometimes stars don't fully encompass what we want, and we wanted something a little more us. So we rate into the moon and to Saturn. So I rate in moons, Hannah rates in Saturns. And so this book, I wasn't sure if I was going to, but going back and doing the outline and then like talking it over again, I just have to, like, it hit me, it hit my heart. I am going to give this 5 moons. It was perfect to me. I had so much fun with it. It was between a 4.5 and a 5 for me. It was always going to be a 4.5. But like when I went back and like experienced it again as I was writing the outline, I like fell more in love with it. And that to me was like, yeah, it's got to be a 5.
Yeah. I'm going with 4.5 Saturns, which is great for me. If you've been around, like I saved my 5s very, very for those really, really good ones. But 4.5 Saturns.
4.5 is basically a 5 for Hannah. Like, let's be so for real.
Yes. It's just something about me. I can't like do 5 Saturns unless it, I don't know.
That's
it's
so
just for
fair.
the summer. But no, 4.5 definitely. And this is great.
Yeah. So fun. So thank you guys so much for joining. This was just a delight, just a treat. What a fun episode after our interesting season premiere on Middle of the Night. I feel like we needed this.
Yes.
And speaking of Middle of the Night, speaking of spooky season, our final book in our spooky season series, we are very excited to talk about this one. So this is the unsettling viral horror book that's going around right now. You might have seen it. I actually recently learned that it won best like creepy short story on Reddit. And so then it was written and developed into a book. And this is his debut novel as well. So we actually are going to read and review We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. And man, are we going to have a lot to talk about with that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild one.
Yes. And the cool thing about this too is it comes out the day before Halloween. So on brand. So perfect for then.
Mine and Ryan's wedding anniversary.
Love that. So we get to celebrate a wedding anniversary and a podcast drop on the same day.
Yeah. All right. So definitely, if you haven't subscribed to our Patreon, please take a look at that. We do have free and paid options where we drop some fun bonus content. And Britt and I just have fun over there, and we want to have fun with you as well. The paid is only $5 a month, so less than a Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. So we would love to have you over there as well.
Yes. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok as well. Give us your thoughts. Tell us, your song choices. Something really cool now on Spotify is that you can participate in polls and leave comments on our episodes. So please leave us comments. We will definitely respond. Hannah said a secret message in the middle of the episode. So drop that and let us know that you're listening, that you're paying attention.
Yep.
We dropped it in the middle of the episode, but if you don't remember, we come in peace. You made it this far.
Yep.
Drop that below. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. We had so much fun with this episode, and we can't wait to talk to you about We Used to Live Here on Wednesday, October 30th.
Yep. And just remember, keep reading with kindness.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.